things took a very dramatic turn yesterday. Choose to keep Durant or choose to keep GM Sean Marks and coach Steve Nash.
I'm gonna admit, one of two things are happening here. Either one, Kevin Durant is throwing a bunch of curveballs at me and Kyrie Irving's helping him, and as a result, I'm getting disoriented myself. Or two, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving aren't on the same page in regards to their futures anymore. Now, we're gonna bring you guys every update that I could. There was a lot of information to compile into one video, so make sure you drop a like, subscribe, turn on our notifications to help the channel grow, and if these videos are a little too long for you, well, I upload shorter versions of these videos onto my Instagram and onto my TikTok at TheFlightMike for both. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So in order to really understand where we currently are with the Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving situation, all you have to know is the subject of our last video, which we could recap very quickly. Pretty much, Kevin Durant had a meeting with Joe Tsai, the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, and told him straight to his face that he doesn't like the direction of this franchise. He literally went up to him, and this is the part that shocked all of us. All NBA star Kevin Durant reiterated his trade request and informed Joe Tsai that he needs to choose between Durant or the pairing of general manager Sean Marks and coach Steve Nash. Sources with direct knowledge of the meeting tell The Athletic. Kevin Durant stated he has no faith in the team's direction. Durant and Tsai spoke in London on Saturday, and sources described the discussion as transparent and professional, which is a huge shock because the reason why Steve Nash was hired to begin with was because Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving didn't like Kenny Atkinson for some reason, which to me was baffling to begin with because the Brooklyn Nets were building a beautiful culture there with Kenny Atkinson and a bunch of castaways. I mean, D'Angelo Russell was cast away by the Lakers. Spencer Dinwiddie was a gem that they found in the rough. Jared Allen is a solid player, but Karis LeVert, all these players were like either casted away or they were developed through the Kenny Atkinson era. And when KD and Kyrie came in, I guess they just didn't like him. I don't know. And ultimately, Kevin Durant decided, hey, we want Steve Nash. Steve Nash is someone that I'm comfortable with. He was there with me during Golden State. He was a former player in the NBA. He's played in the Mike D'Antoni system, so he has experience with up-tempo offenses. And ultimately, Steve Nash's first couple of years as a head coach has given mixed reviews, so I could understand why Kevin Durant has a change of heart. But you have to admit, it's not a good look if you go to a brand new team, you sign an extension with said team, and then all of a sudden say, hey, I want you to fire the coach that I advocated for someone else. Now, apparently the reason for this, at least from the Kevin Durant perspective, and bear in mind, Kyrie Irving apparently isn't on the same page with Kevin Durant on this. We're going to get to that in a sec, but apparently KD was upset about not being consulted on the Nets firing of Adam Harrington. So this is coming from Josh Kosman. So Kevin Durant's issues with the Brooklyn Nets run deeper than his demand that the team fires Sean Marks and Steve Nash. Sources told Josh Kosman and Brian Lewis of the New York Post. For example, Kevin Durant was not consulted when the team fired assistant coach and director of player development Adam Harrington this offseason. There are simple things that erode a relationship. You fired someone that Kevin Durant was close to and didn't have a conversation about it. Kevin Durant may have also been disappointed that Joe Tsai did not do more in lobbying for a relaxation of vaccine mandates so Kyrie Irving could play in home games. Kyrie Irving was not able to play home until March 24th, with Tsai hiring a lobbyist on February 8th. So here's the interesting thing about all this. You hear this report that Kevin Durant wants Sean Marks gone, which I honestly don't understand why. I think Sean Marks is up there for one of the best GMs in the entire NBA. And I know Nets fans would say, oh, he made a huge mistake by not extending James Harden and Kyrie Irving last year. And yes, there are some risks that he took that didn't pay off, but also there are risks that I imagine if I was Sean Marks, I would have also taken myself. I mean, yes, you have a great thriving culture under Kenny Atkinson, but Kyrie Irving and KD want to come and play for your franchise. What are you going to do? Not sign Kyrie and KD? Of course you are. James Harden is stating a desire to be traded to the Brooklyn Nets. What are you going to do? Not trade for James Harden? I mean, yeah, these moves didn't pay off and there was a bunch of circumstances outside of his control to make them work. But all in all, my opinion on Sean Marks Marks is he's a great general manager. He doesn't make boneheaded decisions. There's at least logic and reasoning to what he's doing. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. I don't think it's necessarily worth him being fired for. And apparently Kyrie Irving actually agrees, because Kyrie Irving disputed the report that he was discontent with Sean Marks and Steve Nash. So Kevin Durant isn't happy with Sean Marks and Steve Nash. Kyrie Irving is apparently okay with them, which doesn't make sense to me at all whatsoever, because apparently, at least what I was thinking, was the reason why KD didn't like Sean Marks was because Sean Marks didn't make a greater effort to support Kyrie Irving during the vaccine mandate debacle. So here's the details of the report, and this is coming from Josh Kosman via Kyrie Irving, saying, "I'm not sure where this narrative is coming from, but Kyrie does not hate Steve nor Sean. That's not a part of his being nor how he represents himself in the world. He's about peace, love, and acceptance," his agent and stepmother, Shatalia Riley Irving, told Josh Kosman and Brian Lewis of the New York Post. I mean, this entire situation is just one gigantic soap opera. I mean, amidst all of this, you have Joe Tsai tweeting out of nowhere, "Our front office and coaching staff have my support. We will make decisions in the best interest of the Brooklyn Nets." I mean, this is just one gigantic show at this point. So I think what Kyrie Irving's saying is,
"Oh, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate Steve Nash and Sean Marks the person. I just don't want to be in business with them."
So I think that might be where Kyrie Irving's coming from. Or you could say he doesn't agree with KD in his desire for wanting Sean Marks and Steve Nash to be fired. I honestly think it's probably the former. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because Kevin Durant's trade demands, for lack of a better way of saying it, are just getting more and more pathetic. I mean, the moment he demanded a trade, he requested to be traded to either the Phoenix Suns or the Miami Heat. Both of these teams were top seeds in the East and West last year. Yes, they didn't finish in the NBA Finals, but they still finished as top seeds. Now, despite this, the Suns weren't able to pull it off because, well, DeAndre Ayton ended up signing a contract offer with the Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers gave the Phoenix Suns 48 hours to match that offer, and the Phoenix Suns matched it, which means DeAndre Ayton is now a member of the Phoenix Suns. He has one whole year with a no trade clause, and the Suns can't really trade him anywhere that he doesn't want to go. The Miami Heat don't really have the assets to trade for Kevin Durant, and honestly, the asking price for Kevin Durant is so insane that I don't think it's reasonable to expect them to trade for Kevin Durant. The more recent teams that are in the Kevin Durant hunt are, for lack of a better way of saying it, are just disappointing in my opinion. So here's the thing. Kevin Durant views the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers as desirable destinations. Now, this is coming via Ian Begley. Kevin Durant has interest in a trade to the Celtics or the 76ers. Durant was previously focused on the Phoenix Suns and Miami Heat, who each likely lack the assets necessary to trade for him. Remember the rookie max contract extension rule? Well, in both the Brooklyn Nets case and, of course, the Miami Heat's case, you can't really trade Bam Adebayo to the Brooklyn Nets, even if the Miami Heat wanted to trade Bam Adebayo to the Brooklyn Nets. So the Celtics and Nets engaged last month on a trade centered around Kevin Durant for Jaylen Brown. The Nets have sought the inclusion of Marcus Smart, who Kevin Durant would like to play with if he's traded to the Celtics. Brown has been the best single player offered to the Nets in a trade for Durant. The Sixers would have to include Tyrese Maxey in a trade for Durant, along with some combination of Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, and other assets. The Sixers already sent a number of assets to the Nets as part of the James Harden trade. I honestly think the Philadelphia 76ers could pull this off, but is there any part of any of us that is getting kind of disgusted by the fact that Kevin Durant is demanding trades to teams that end up ending his season? I mean, in 2016, he blew a 3-1 series lead to the Golden State Warriors and then ended up joining the Golden State Warriors at the end of that season. Now he got swept by the Boston Celtics and is now asking to be traded to the Boston Celtics. I mean, I'm just not a fan of it. Call me old fashioned, call me old school. I just don't think it's very competitive of him. So by the way, the New Orleans Pelicans remain interested in the deal for Kevin Durant. Per Chris Splash, they can put together a compelling package around all-star forward Brandon Ingram, role players like Herb Jones and Devontae Graham, and Jose Alvarado, and draft compensation. So I know what you might be thinking at this point. Mike, you've talked all of this much about Kevin Durant. What about Kyrie Irving? What about Kyrie Irving potentially going to the Lakers? Well, a bunch of you guys tagged me in a report from a very reputable source, by the way, Joe Von Buha and Sam Amick, and I'm going to bring you guys this Kyrie Irving update because it is starting to look like the Lakers might be back in the race for Kyrie Irving. Irving. So if you haven't heard about what the Lakers are currently going through, LeBron James had a very positive meeting with Darvin Ham, his brand new head coach, and Rob Pelinka. In this meeting, LeBron James stressed the importance of consistent competitiveness and cohesion, noting that last season's team didn't give themselves a chance on many nights. Ham agreed with LeBron James and stated how his main objectives are to hold everyone accountable and foster an atmosphere of selflessness. The meeting was deemed productive and informative. Pelinka made his feelings clear that he wants James to retire with the Lakers and promised to provide him with every resource possible to compete for a championship each year he's with the organization. So that in of itself is extremely promising. Another tidbit from this one report, which I as a Laker fan will never believe because I've seen this so many freaking times, is apparently the Los Angeles Lakers, and this is coming to us via Chris B. Haynes, intend on running their offense through Anthony Davis. And look, that sounds great and everything, but if you're a Laker fan, you know, every single freaking offseason, we're told this BS fallacy
that we are running our offense through Anthony Davis.
And every single year, what ends up happening is they try to run their offense through AD. Eventually, AD, hopefully it doesn't happen, but he either gets injured or it doesn't work. And then we resort to LeBron James basketball, which isn't the worst thing. It's just stop getting our hopes up. It never ends up happening. I digress. I felt like I'd sneak that in there because there's so much information in this video that I have to give you guys. But here's what we have on Kyrie Irving potentially getting traded to the Lakers. So the article is called Russell Westbrook Trade Packages, Title Odds and Expectations for Darvin Ham, Lakers Mailbag. So this is coming to us from Jovan Buha. And the first question that was asked comes from Dustin Rigsby. And to his credit, it's a great question. Do you think the Los Angeles Lakers will eventually end up giving up 2 firsts? If so, will it be to get Kyrie Irving or would it be to get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner? And a package to this question was, do you also get the sense that the Lakers are trying to make 2 separate trades using the firsts, one with Westbrook and one with Horton, Tucker, Nunn, etc., aka all reliable? So Buha says yes, insofar I think the ultimate price to trade Westbrook will include attaching 2 first-round picks. If the Lakers can finagle an alternate outcome, it would be a pick swap or 2 second-round picks, and that would be a win for them, in my opinion. That seems unlikely though, which is why there's a possibility Westbrook isn't traded. Between the 2 trades mentioned, the Lakers would prefer the Irving option. I think that's a deal they'd eventually be willing to include 2 first-round picks for. I don't think they'd be willing to do so in the Indiana deal. Now, this is very important because later on in the article, he's asked, do you think that the Lakers are holding back a bit in trade offers because they're bidding against themselves? And at what point do the Lakers stop worrying about the best offer and more about getting something for Westbrook? I don't see how they can start the season with him on the roster. Now, this is where Buha gives us what we're looking for. Yes, I think the Lakers are somewhat holding back as they're not in a bidding war. That could change depending on what happens with Kevin Durant and Donovan Mitchell, who are co-headlining the current trade market. If one or both are moved, or even if Durant stays in Brooklyn, that could shift another team's direction towards Irving, driving up the price. But there's also the possibility that Irving stays in Brooklyn, though there is a lot of mixed intel on his future. Now to the second question. There will come a time in which the Lakers have to decide if they're willing to continue to play hardball and risk missing their window to trade Westbrook. There is a sense among some that training camp is a soft deadline to move Westbrook. If he's on the roster in late September, there will be a massive off-court distraction, with the media asking about his future, his relationship with James and the organization, Ham's vision of his role and responsibilities. This isn't going to go away, and that's not the primary reason the Lakers should trade Westbrook. It's because he's not performing to his gigantic contract and is a subpar fit as a third option, but it's certainly an ancillary motivation. So Buha thinks that the Lakers are going to try to intensify their trade offers, maybe include another first-round pick in addition to Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving at some point soon. But the thing is, they don't have much incentive to do so until they get to training camp, which historically has also been a time where Russell Westbrook was traded. He was traded to the Washington Wizards right before training camp. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, man. I know it's a lot of information I just gave you in regards to KD and Kyrie. Let me know if you want me to separate them in the future. I've tried different styles as a result of this, but I really want to hear what you have to say about everything, about KD and Kyrie potentially not being on the same page anymore, about the Lakers potentially intensifying their offer for Kyrie Irving. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.